everyone. Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, the spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for Provider, originally airing January 21st, 2002, written by Scott Murphy. Alright, let's make this as painless as possible. Angel's obsessed with getting money for Connor, so he asks Fred build a website, and Gunn and Wesley put flyers around town. Apparently this is all they needed to do for years because business starts pouring in, so much that the team must separate to take on their own jobs. Except Cordelia, she gets baby duty and recapping the last episode for unknown reasons. Anyway, Gunn and Wesley help this weird girl whose dead boyfriend is stalking her. She's just mildly annoyed by the whole thing, but then it turns out that she killed her boyfriend because he was smothering her. Now that he is a zombie, he still wants to be with her even though she killed him. So she takes him back, and we all just pretend this isn't horrifying. Also, Gunn and Wesley fawn over Fred. Story number 2. Angel helps a businessman who desperately wants to eliminate a nest of vampires. Except the businessman is really impersonating someone else and has no money to pay Angel. He just wants his friend's watch. A friend who was killed by these vampires. Angel confronts the man in the vampire nest, and they are attacked by the remaining vampires that Angel didn't kill. Angel refuses to take care of them, until he's promised some sort of payment, but then he does it anyway. Story number 3. Fred is chosen by some clicking demons to solve a puzzle because he's a genius, but the puzzle doesn't look like something survivor contestants do after starving in the jungle for a month. While solving the puzzle, Lauren stumbles into a meeting where the demons use rudimentary Photoshop and PowerPoint to explain to their leader that they plan to cut off Fred's head and give it to him. Lauren is captured before he can tell Fred, but Cordelia gets a visit. No one answers their phones, so she rushes off with Connor to give the demons their money back in exchange for Fred. She shows up and has Lauren translate the deal. Lauren, thinking Wesley, Gunn, and Angel are hiding in the shadows, threatens them, and this obviously upsets the demons. Cordelia takes them all on, holding Connor, but then all the men show up to save Fred from losing her head. They kill all the demons and take the money anyway because, it's $50,000. Then Angel and Cordelia lay in bed together, feeding Connor, dreaming about what they'll do with their new windfall. Oh, and Holt and Justine are in this episode, and Justine is still a cake clone, but she's recruiting other cake clones now, so that's something. And that's the end of the episode.
Why would you take a baby to a demon fight?
Why would you leave a baby alone? Cordelia doesn't go in there planning to fight. She plans to just give the money and leave. Why she thought that would work, I don't know.
She has no other options. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just bad. Almost as bad as...
The episode's not bad. The episode's just not good.
Well, it has a bunch of... It seems like all of these ideas seem like plots to season 1 episodes all jammed together.
Sure.
Also, I could have dealt without the making Fred the damsel.
I could have done without every one of these stories. Especially zombie girlfriend. Killed him, but he forgives her, so we're all okay with it. And
that was so weird.
So weird, and it's supposed to. I don't know. Is it supposed to be happy at the? I don't know what I'm saying, because I just think she's gonna kill him again when the newness of dating a zombie wears out. This psychopath is just gonna chop off his head.
I mean, I really did like getting Wes and Gunn's, facial reactions to the whole situation. They were just super disturbed, oh my god. And then they're like, cash or charge?
Yeah, but still, that woman's insane.
See, the thing is, there's not much depth to the episode, because there's so many storylines going on, we never actually get a chance to...
It's not like they couldn't, it's just that they don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually really love the structure of this, that they start out in a hub, and then they break off, and then they come back together. The reason that could work and it doesn't is that there should be a thematic link between the three stories, and there's not.
Yeah.
And it should connect to Angel coming to the realization that money isn't everything. Which, in his story, I suppose that the lesson he learns is the dangers of obsession and being neurotic. Because I believe his name is Sam, but I'm just going to call him Jeffrey Dean Morgan, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a funner name to say. Ruins his life for his quote-unquote friend / boyfriend. And it's pretty much what Angel would probably do if Cordelia or somebody died.
Yeah.
Or
probably.
what he's doing with the money thing. That's just because Angel's neurotic and he latches onto something and then it becomes his whole life. So, yeah. And
yeah, I mean, there is no overarching theme, but like you said, I mean, the structure is really nice, and getting them stretched thin and having Cordelia be the words of wisdom or whatever, I thought worked fine as the story.
And I feel like I feel like they were trying to connect them some way, because the zombie girlfriend thing is also about love in some twisted way. And then, see, the clicking demons don't fit into that at all. You could argue that the clicking demons love their leader or whatever, but still. And it doesn't really fit with the zombie girlfriend either, because I mean, he's obsessed with her, but he's not kind of the focus of the episode. Like, if they were helping him, sure. Yeah, and we actually dealt with the fact that he goes back to her as murderer, then maybe. But
like, you could say obsession is the linking tool. Like,
maybe. I mean, I think they're trying to, but I really have to squint to make that work.
Exactly. So I didn't mind. I liked them pushing the Gunn actually expressing his feelings towards Fred to other people. Okay. I liked the first scene between Wes and Gunn when...
No, I like that Gunn has feelings for her. I still don't understand why... They haven't shown me why Wesley does. Besides telling us that Wesley did and Billy. Like, we have not seen them together. Besides when they become a two-headed exposition monster.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We haven't really seen them interact.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're just told that Wesley likes her because they're smart. As opposed to Gunn and Fred, who seem to have an actual connection. I'm not saying that Wesley and Fred don't, I'm just saying we haven't seen it.
Right. And I like that first scene where Gunn's looking at her holding the baby. Mm-hmm. Wes comes by and he's like, "Oh, I was talking about the baby." And he's like, "I'm talking about the hot mama." Mm-hmm. Like, the different ways they express their feelings where, like, Wes is trying to hide it and Gunn...
Except when they get with the psychotic girlfriend and then they just start
arguing,
squabbling with each other.
Yeah. Which, that could become an issue later down the line.
It could, but I'm just not invested in that story because I don't know why Wesley has feelings for her. Right. Besides the fact that she's Fred and she's just amazing at everything.
Hey, the demons want to give her $50,000 for her brain.
Yeah, for that brain, for that puzzle that I feel like I could solve. It's like a kindergarten puzzle.
Like, they didn't even... It's not even like a 5,000-piece puzzle.
No. It's big chunks that obviously fit together to make a pyramid. You don't need a algorithm or whatever stupid crap Fred comes up with to tell us she made it work. Like, no, just look at it and put it together.
but it glows at the end of it.
Is that more stupid, or is it the clicking demons having a stupid computer presentation to show their drooling leader what they plan to do?
The PowerPoint was pretty ridiculous. It was
they cut her out, and then where do they get that picture of Fred, first of all? And then my favorite part is that they bring it over to his head, but then just in case he's not getting it, they do the zigzag red lines.
Like the beginning with the website was already pretty like dated. But
it's not dated. It's just dumb. Like, there's no reason for them to do that. You could just have Lorne overhear them and put subtitles. I don't know why we need a visual representation.
So that it's clear to Lorne, since he's been
clear to the audience.
Yeah.
Because are they not explaining it? Because I was so distracted by the computer PowerPoint that I don't remember the actual. Isn't there subtitles?
Yes, there's subtitles, and they we found a head to rest on your noble shoulders.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now I remember. But I was everything got blown out of my mind when I saw the zigzag stitches.
So I liked catching up on Holtz again. I'm glad he's at least doing something. Although the weird torture, show your resolve, Justine, was... I guess it was interesting.
I didn't find that... I mean, it's weird, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
My problem with Justine is I don't... I think the actress does a fine job. I don't see her as anything other than Kate, and I'm not sure that's ever going to go away. Because what do we know about her? We don't know anything. The show assumes we know more about Justine than they've actually told us. We know she's angry because her sister died, and that's about it. So it's kind of like they're expecting us to just fill in the lines from there, and I don't particularly like that.
Yeah, her character is...
It's so
her attitude and her look. And,
it's so obviously a placeholder for Kate. You switch out dead twin sister with dead father, and there's really no difference.
Yeah, but I think Justine's doing a fine job. Even if we don't have the character development with her. I
don't care. Because she's Kate, and she's not her own person. I mean, she's fine, and I'm not suggesting that they need to really do something more with her, because she's just a pawn in Holtz's game. Really?
Right.
I mean, she's a representation of his army that he's building.
I don't know if, if it was Kate, yes, it'd be more interesting, but then you'd have to deal with the fact that it was Kate later, which
would be more interesting.
More interesting.
If when she actually finds out she's hunting Angel, and she's like, all right, I'm super okay with that, then that's a problem. But there's no guarantee that they would have done that if it was Kate. Right.
But who we have now, I mean, I still think it works pretty well, and glad to have our big bad or whatever is actually doing stuff and is still recruiting, and we still have a sense that he's not just idly twiddling his thumbs.
Well, he's one of Angel Investigation's top 3 number 1 priorities.
So, Cordy, getting passed off with the baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Does that bother you?
Oh, it bothers me. Because it bothers me because it doesn't go anywhere. I don't have too much of a problem with her being on baby duty. If something interesting happens while she's on baby duty, it is bizarre to me that she recaps that she's a part demon to Connor, and then that nothing comes of that. If it would all be solved for me if when she goes to pick up Fred or exchange her with the money. And then she realizes she has to fight. If her part demon powers manifest themselves some way, that she is able to save Lorne and Fred.
Right.
In a way that doesn't, like, endanger Connor. As long as Connor is safe and she is able to fight, then I have no problem with it. Like, if there's just, like, some weird demon thing that happens that, like, blasts them all to the side, and then she runs out, and they run, and then everyone shows up, and then they all fight together, fine. So, as annoyed I am that she doesn't really do anything, Angel does defer to her at a couple points, and she's still as much kind of in control as she always is.
Right. I guess I had more of a problem because we, like, every female character we meet in this episode, like, Cordy's not doing anything, she's on baby duty, Fred becomes a damsel, and then the other girl's just a psychopath.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So, it just was kind of like,
Well, it's not that Cordelia isn't doing something important.
Right.
It's just, it's weird to me that they don't have her do anything with Connor except tell Connor what happened in the last episode. And do nothing with that. Like, I actually probably don't have a problem with the fact that Cordelia is babysitting Connor. It's just nothing actually interesting happens in her babysitting Connor. And it's not like they couldn't do something interesting because the final scene is about Cordelia and Angel really being Connor's parents.
Right. So
they could have done something where not that they really have to make that last scene work, but they could have done something where she is his mom, and not his new mom, because Darla, he never knew Darla, but his mom. But he just talks to him about things that we already know that have happened last week.
Right. And I mean, it was nice having her interact with Connor, and, like, we do have her voice the words of wisdom in the beginning of the episode while she's talking to Connor with Angel.
And she also gives Angel the go-ahead to go grab the money, which I don't understand why they don't all just put it in the briefcase and stuff their pockets with it. Seems odd.
Yeah, I don't know. For comedic effect, I guess?
Yeah, whatever. But still, there's nothing wrong with that briefcase. Or maybe it's broken, who knows?
Are they splitting it down the middle? That's the only thing that I was
Well, they're not splitting it down the middle. They're splitting it...
Or, I mean, are they splitting it 6 ways?
6 ways. So really, it's only like less than 10,000 they all get.
So they all get like $8,000 from James.
Not really much of a college fund.
Hey, $8,000.
Well, apparently Angel also wants to send Connor to Notre Dame High School, so he needs more than just a college fund.
Notre Dame High School?
Yeah, because he says that Connor will be the graduating class of 2020 Notre Dame, and he would, unless he thinks Connor's a prodigy, that
graduates early and goes to...
Yeah, that would mean Connor would graduate college when he's 18 years old. Because it's happening in 2002, so Connor would be 18.
Wow. Yeah. There's no Notre Dame High School?
There is a Notre Dame High School, yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know that.
There's a lot of high schools that also are colleges that are like preps.
Oh, okay.
It's a Catholic school. Anyway.
Fair.
What else?
I don't know if there's anything
There
else.
really isn't. And that's kind of sad. I mean, we could talk about Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and how Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is obviously gay, but it comes up in feedback almost every time. So,
I mean, was there any like little moments that stood out to you?
No, there's not.
I know. That's the problem with this episode.
it's really dull and nothing really happens, and it's not offensive in any way, but it's fine. Like, it's the same kind of episode that Dad was, where Angel becomes neurotic, and then he realizes because he has Connor, he can't be so neurotic anymore.
Right.
Same story, and it's a different kind of neurotic obsession, and it's a little bit different because before he was pushing everyone away, and here he has everyone involved. So it's a little bit more evolving on that idea that he can't be the same person he was now that Connor's around, but still the same kind of story.
I mean, I guess this is one of the first times that we've actually gotten to see how Connor will interact with the group. We'll just have to have someone basically
Connor's not interacting with the group. Connor's a thing they pass around to talk to.
Right. I mean,
impressed me that you can obviously tell when Connor's a doll and when Connor's a real baby. But in this episode, he was mostly a real baby.
Yeah. The episode, I mean, also, it did a good enough job of the gang getting stretched too thin.
Well, I'd like that everyone has something to do, except, well, Cordelia has something to do. It's just not interesting.
Right.
But everyone has something to do, and I think that's a nice way to deal with the ensemble as opposed to someone taking the lead and everyone else following suit, which is what they normally do. Now, I expect that that's what they will continue to do, but I enjoyed this more than the other way they usually deal with cases of the week. Even if I didn't like this episode.
Right.
All right. There really is nothing. So we can move on to feedback and talk about maybe some interesting things. So first up we have Joseph, who said, overall I thought this was an adequate episode of the week. I like that there were 3 separate plots that all dealt with mistaken assumptions by our heroes, which was a nice written touch. Some random thoughts. So back in 2000, even on a Whedon show, they couldn't say Bob and his quote-unquote friend were gay. That's a shame. This episode had Gunn, Wesley, and the Masked Demons all talking about how awesome Fred was. I particularly loved the scene at the beginning when the Masked Demons, Dreams and Plays, turned to one another and started exciting, clicking, and popping over how wonderful Fred is. I guess they're trying to set up a triangle with Gunn, Wes, and Fred, but there has to be a less obvious way to do it. I guess Angel's old bag of money is pretty much empty now. I would think this episode offered an obvious solution. Angel should find more wealthy evildoers and rob them. Heck, he could start mugging Lila and Gavin once or twice a week. That would be hilarious. The Holtz and Justine scenes were very effective and did a good job of keeping their plot alive. They're an interesting dark mirror of a Watcher and a Slayer, except that Holtz and Justine are both fanatical commitment in the place of superpowers. So thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, I like the Holtz and Justine analogy.
I didn't pick up on that, but that is a good point.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about more? I cut out the part of Joseph's comment when he called it Fred fluffing, but I think that's a good term for talking about how wonderful Fred is.
See, I had less a problem with the Fred fluffing, and I
didn't have a problem with it in this episode, actually.
Right. I hope the triangle thing, like, if it becomes like a competition between the two guys, I'm probably going to have a problem with it.
Probably, yeah. Well, I have a problem with it because I don't know why like I said, I'm not invested in Wesley's feelings for her. Like, we've already talked about how Gunn and Fred just seem to work together, just naturally. But they haven't shown us Wesley. The last time we got a Wesley and Fred scene, he was trying to murder her. So I have no investment in that relationship at this point. So that's why I'm not invested in a love triangle between them. Because for me, there's no competition. Gunn and Fred should be together, and Wesley and Fred shouldn't, because I don't think Wesley is actually in love with her as a person. I think Wesley's in love with her as an idea.
Yeah. I think that can be interesting if they
but I don't
played
know
up that angle. I don't think that
I
they
don't
will.
think it's intentional that Wesley is in love with her as an idea. That's just how it comes across. I think I think they want us to believe that Wesley likes her because he just likes her as a person, but they haven't shown us enough.
Right, and it's because the episode where they decided to go with this, it was literally like they jump-started it. Like, time has passed. In Billy, they go, you like her. There you go.
And now you're going to try to murder her.
I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with Wesley having feelings for her because of the conversation that Cordelia and Fred have in Billy about limited options and everything else.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Like, why? That's why I feel like he likes her. Because there is nobody else around.
No, they do little things about, like, they have similar interests or whatever.
What similar interests do they have besides...
In this episode, he has that line about, read the same science magazine, whatever.
Yeah, but they've never shown us them reading the same science magazine, as opposed to them showing Gunn and Fred interacting all the time.
Right, and I think that works much better.
So I could believe that they're into some of the same things, but I haven't seen them actually show me, so again, I have no investment in this love triangle.
Right.
I have no problem with the way they set it up. In this particular episode, I just have had a problem with how Wesley and Gunn's relationship has developed to this point.
Yeah, I really don't want it to be like Fred is the prize kind of thing.
Or they wreck their friendship over Fred.
I mean, if you want to, like, have tension between these two guys, that they've done a pretty good job of showing the two of them being, guy friends, whatever, then I'm okay with that.
Why should you have to qualify a guy friend? Let's talk about Bob and his friend.
And his friend.
Wait, so is his name Bob? Because Kathleen, I believe, calls him
Bob,
Sam.
I think Bob... No, wait. His friend's name is Brian, right?
I have no idea. Because Kathleen, where it's going to come up, she calls him Jack. So nobody has any idea what this guy's name is. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah, he's gay.
Yeah.
Obviously. He's gay. And so I don't know if they weren't allowed or it just becomes unintentional that he comes off as gay.
I don't know.
Because I don't actually have a problem with the boss saying his friend, but then when he's talking, it's not even like implied. Jeffrey Dean Morgan doesn't even imply that his friend isn't his friend. And isn't his friend and really is his boyfriend. Like, he doesn't even, like, cut off not saying it. Because I can believe that he's kind of closeted.
Yeah, but he didn't even... Like, he's not even emotional in the scene. You know what I mean? When he's talking about it.
It's a very weird performance.
Right. So, to me, it feels like, okay, we can't even tell it.
No, he gets emotional when he's like, it's the first thing I ever gave him. He's more emotional about the watch than his friend being dead.
I don't know. It just felt... there was no emotion behind it.
No. It's also weird because I'm not used to Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing such a gentle character. I'm used to him being more gruff. Kind of unemotional, but still being emotional in his unemotions.
I guess it's true.
Which isn't a word, but I just made it one.
I don't know. I wish they could have handled it better. Mm-hmm. And I felt part of it was the performance, but part of it just feels like the way they directed it. Like, I get the feeling that he did what was asked of him.
Yes. I think it's a directing problem more than it's his actual acting.
Right.
Because it was very bizarre how it played out. Like I guess they really weren't allowed to say it, so they couldn't do what they wanted to. So it's this weird thing where it feels like they're skirting around something.
Yeah. I think it would have felt more natural to have him not be his quote unquote friend. I don't know.
If it wasn't so much subtext and it was implied, or if it was just if he outright said it. Like if he confesses to Angel that they were in love. And that's another reveal that it can do, because I don't think the boss doesn't know. But then when he comes to the vampire nest, and then Jeffrey Dean Morgan tells Angel that he's gay and that was his boyfriend, instead of just going along with this as his friend.
Yeah, I just think it makes for a better motivation for his character, and
because now it's even more bizarre that he wrecks his life for this guy who he seems to enjoy, but not really that fond of.
I mean, he's really more fond of that Timex watch.
That watch, man. Oof.
It glows in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have more of a conversation about the watch than they do about the dead guy.
Him and his friend.
Yeah. Because there's more jokes about this watch, but we're not really talking about who the watch belonged to. What?
Yeah, it's a problem. I think it is. They weren't allowed, so the story suffered because of it.
Maybe there was a draft where it's not so awkward, but then when they submitted it, the network told them that they couldn't do it, so they had to cut it out. But they didn't rewrite the story. They just kind of left it the way it was.
Also, mugging Lila and Gavin probably would have bad consequences.
Maybe.
I mean, they're lawyers. They could totally get him in trouble.
Well, it's not like Angel to do things stealthily. He likes to let people know that he's threatening them. But he could do it in a way that they don't know, but they could probably forget. Anyway, there's no way it would have worked, but I agree that mugging them would be funny.
I bet they have Rolexes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway.
Okay, so next up we have Alicia, who says, favorite scenes. Angel has a piggy bank. Lauren accidentally taking the baby milk. Making money and finding Holtz and helping the helpless is our 3 number 1 priorities. Is my breath stinky? Yeah. They light the water on fire, and there's chanting and a bong, and look out, Houston. Lauren, it's all snap, crackle, pop to me. Oh, you guys are so going to get your butts kicked. Angel's rant while killing the vampires. You're a real champion. Yeah, whatever. Angel and Cordelia lying down together talking about a boat and a ski lodge. I didn't like Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this episode. So thank you, Alicia.
Do you want to talk about Lauren getting high?
What I do like is that we finally get... I mean, Lauren has always kind of felt part of the gang, but we actually see him go out and do stuff.
Well, he's been doing stuff since Caritas got blown up.
Right, but like the scene where the camera is following him.
Oh yeah, okay.
That might have been the first time that actually happened.
I think you could be right there. It's certainly the first time he's gone out on a mission, like that he wasn't recruited. Like Angel didn't come to him that one episode where in season 2 where they work together. And he is kind of recruited in the sense that he needs to be the translator, but he also is pretty involved in that story from the very beginning.
Right, and he's getting equal share of the money and everything else. But so I like that aspect of it, and actually getting to see him part of the gang. And it feels very natural just having him do things. But, yeah, he totally got high in this episode.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he accidentally took the baby milk. He drank the baby milk.
Formula and Kahlua apparently not that bad.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. Again, whatever. I just don't have opinions about this episode, to be honest.
You're a real champion. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Like, Angel's just general apathy about saving Jeffrey Dean Morgan is how I feel about the episode.
I think you're right.
So you guys are going to get your butts kicked. Does Lauren say that when Cordelia shows up?
I think so.
Which is an interesting sort of parallel to the pilot when Cordelia is with the vampire Russell and Angel shows up and she tells Russell he's going to get his butt kicked.
Right.
Except Cordelia doesn't actually kick any butts.
Yeah, that's what becomes the problem.
She kicks a metal crotch and has to be picked up by Wesley and Gunn.
I really would have loved her passing the baby to Wesley and then fighting.
Or just I was going to say putting the baby down, but that's awkward.
Just have her...
like, she could have... I mean, don't come in brandishing the crossbow, but, like, have it in a back holster and whip it out. She could she could have Connor in, like, a baby Bjorn and dual-wield crossbows. I mean, it happens
there are many things to make it badass, yes.
Well, okay, so there's a season 5 episode of Chuck in a flashback where Sarah, the female lead, has a baby strapped to her chest and she's dual-wielding Uzis as she walks down a staircase. And I want Cordelia to do that. She doesn't have to have Uzis, but 2 crossbows. We know she has 2 crossbows. Like, I want someone to have Connor strapped to their chest and have a fight scene. That's all I want. Ever since he's been born.
It would be ridiculous, but it would be pretty awesome.
No, there's no part of that would be ridiculous. It'd be all awesome.
I'm just for not having damsels.
Mm-hmm. Again, if her part human powers have manifested themselves in some way that she is able to save the 2 of them, fine. But they don't.
You're right. Like, what? There is no other point to bring up, like, recap last week.
Yeah, I could see if they had taken a couple weeks off or something. They don't want
people to forget that she has part demon.
Yeah, but that just happened. Because it's not the first time that they've recapped things that have happened in other episodes, but time usually passes in some way, and they don't mention them, and then they have to re-mention them. It just happened, and it's not like they got any kind of feedback that people didn't understand that she became a part demon, because I have no idea how anybody couldn't understand that she became part demon, because that episode just aired anyway, but I don't understand why it's there if you're not going to do something with it in this episode. I'm sure it'll come up in a future episode, but talking about it so much in this episode and it going nowhere is bizarre.
Right. Something that was also interesting to me was, so Doyle was half demon, half human, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the visions were still excruciating for him.
But she doesn't have a problem.
Yeah, now she's just fine. So is it like, what particular demon got put into her, or...
Well, we have more questions about the validity of Skip coming up, but I think that relates.
Okay. I mean, because
it was excruciating for Doyle, but he did have he was able to, what's the word? Recover quicker than Cordelia was.
Yeah, that's true.
So
but now they don't face her at all.
Yeah, now they don't. So they don't phase her at all, right? I don't. Because she says they're a breeze, and we saw her have one, and it wasn't affecting her at all. And I don't know if it's just a breeze relatively, or it actually doesn't affect her at all anymore. I don't know.
So, like, is it a percentage thing? Is she more more demon than human, but why didn't she? There's no other side effects.
Getting too much
I'm going way down the rabbit hole, but it's just something that came up that I questioned.
Okay. All right, so next up we have Kathleen, Stone Provider, who said, not going to win any favorite episodes of the season title for me. I can't even pinpoint my issue with the episode other than it was just dull, like that old gang of mine. Seeing Angel want to find a way to provide for Connor to give him a good life was nice, but Angel really gets obsessive over things for an episode, doesn't he? A website and a couple handfuls of flyers is all it took for Angel investigations to skyrocket from almost never having cases besides Vision ones being overloaded with people and demons needing help with the supernatural. We've seen them hand out business cards and flyers before on a couple of occasions, and that's done nothing for business. What's different this time? Angel appears no longer concerned about the demons coming after Connor, with the amount of demons waltzing through the hotel. Holt's partnership with Justine is getting interesting. She's one tough human, ick to the storyline of that zombie guy who was an obsessive stalker and the girl taking back because he forgives her for killing him. Did Angel not think a $50K job comes with a catch? Angel's pettiness of not wanting to kill the vamps for Sam because he didn't get paid kind of goes against everything we know about him and his mission for redemption. Oh, the days when the subtext between two same-sex characters couldn't be any more. Even between Sam and his quote-unquote friend, Jack, who wasn't even an on-screen character. Nice to see the gang pocket the $50K. I bet the gang will be complaining about being broke in no time, though. Alright. So, thank you, Kathleen.
So now I really can't remember what the guy's name is.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It did bother me that he goes on that long rant about the vampires while he's killing them, and that he won't kill the vampires because he wants to be paid. That irked me. And I didn't actually believe that Angel would let him die. I think he was just kind of threatening him, and it was an empty threat, but it still bothered me.
Yeah, I think it's just him being petty. Like, I'm okay with Angel being petty, and I don't think for a second that he was literally going to let him die.
Yeah, because once the danger becomes real, he tries to get him out of there, even though he hasn't promised to pay him yet.
Right.
But it did kind of bother me how long that went on, and it was set up like we were meant to believe that he was going to let him die.
I mean, they played the joke for a while. I didn't have necessarily too much of a problem with it. I have more of a problem with them not just having the subtext and leaving it there and not going further with it, but I mean, I guess that is the product of the time.
So how do you feel about the fact that all it takes is a flyer on a website and they're just flooding with business?
I mean, it's to service the story. It's literally just... Because I get the feeling that next week there won't have any cases or anything.
No. I think Kathleen's right that they're going to be complaining about money in no time.
But I don't mind them telling this story. It's kind of weird to just have that be enough to actually get the business, but I don't see them having this story any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the opening with the...
Oh, no. We didn't even talk about that. Yeah, no, I hated that. The guy trying to call and then he gets murdered because they don't have the right... He doesn't...
I thought, for dark comedy, it was pretty funny, and it's not like if he would have called Angel Investigations, he gets killed immediately anyways.
Well, that's a nice way to think about it, isn't it? No,
that's the way I justify it in my head.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that joke, and I didn't like it, no. Because then it's one thing that Wesley has the wrong number on the flyers, but then to show us that someone actually died because he had the wrong number on the flyers, then that's not a funny joke. That just makes me feel uncomfortable.
it was dark, but I still thought it was pretty funny. The thing is, like, yeah, I justified it in my head because literally once the person picks up the phone, they go blah blah blah, and then he gets ripped from the thing and dies.
Mm-hmm. Well, he might actually be dead. We don't actually see. We don't see a body. Anyway, so there's nothing more to say about Provider.
No.
All right.
No, there's not.
Okay. We can move back to Birthday. And I think we should probably just take these all at once, because they all bring up Skip in some way, and we can just talk about Skip some more. Because I'd rather talk about Skip in this episode.
Okay. So, first up, on Birthday, we have Kathleen again, who says, pretty decent Cordy episode. My problem with the episode stemmed from having to believe that the visions have been causing Cordy so much damage that her doctors can't explain it, and yet Cordy had kept it a secret from the gang. Cordy's a talk first, think last type of character, though a difficult thing to tell them. I don't like that the gang discovering it the way they did. Over the 2 years or so she's had the visions, we have seen the steady incline of their effect on Cordy, so I'm glad we finally got an episode addressing this. I just don't like how far the damage has gotten to Cordy's health that the gang were not aware of it. Fred and Gunn scenes with Dennis the Ghost was cute with their developing friendship. Skip's a fun demon, but I wish we had been given some clues as to how he went to keeping Billy in a fire cell to been Cordy's demon guide. Interesting choice for him to return to the series this way as opposed to casting someone else.
Alright. So Meg's talking about Skip said, one thing that came to mind after listening to the podcast on Birthday was that Skip must have been demoted. If he was in charge of guarding a very dangerous criminal, now he's a spiritual guide to a human. So he can either be exacting revenge on Angel for embarrassing him in front of whatever entity he works for, or he was just resigned to this job since his other job ended. I don't remember if we see Skip again, but definitely adds to my suspicion of him.
And then Joseph says, I absolutely love Skip's design. He might be the best designed demon in the Buffyverse so far. He's threatening, he looks like an absolute tank, and little touches like the skull on his shoulder somehow work.
Okay. So before we talk about Skip, everybody, thank you. Before we talk about Skip, I want to talk about Cordy not telling everybody, because I don't actually have a problem with that, because Cordelia's one thing is she never wants to be seen as weak.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, but I feel like that's in character for her, that she wouldn't come clean about what's happening to her, because she doesn't want pity and she doesn't want anybody to see her as weak, even if that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and I like it as a real world analogy, like people that everyone's kind of has their skeleton in the closet or whatever, or like you can know someone that has health issues or addiction issues or whatever that they hide from their close friends or family.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense in the show. I'm saying you can see that and say that I don't know why she's not telling them, but why she would think that would mean that she's weak, but in Cordelia's mind, I understand how that works, how she equates that to weakness. Anyway.
Well, we also saw plenty of episodes where she was complaining about, like, why do people keep asking me if I'm okay?
Yeah.
Like, she seemed to have a big problem with that.
Yeah. So it seems to be a pretty natural progression that she's been hiding how bad things are getting.
Right.
All right. Now Skip. Still don't trust him. I don't think he'd be demoted. I actually think that's a promotion from guarding Billy to being the spiritual guide to the powers that be linked to their champion. But those are also two very different jobs.
Right.
So unless they're cross-trading guard duty and spiritual guide at powers to be headquarters, that's a very good point that we did not bring up.
Yeah, I mean, they're very different. Also, I don't see him getting promoted. Like, not a very good.
No, he failed at that. So
yeah,
I mean, when Meg says it's a demotion, I actually think it's a promotion, so that just makes him even more suspicious.
Yeah, I guess. Also, I mean, I don't know. Like, we don't necessarily know the extent of his powers, but I guess, I mean, he can make fire cages from his will.
And he can make humans into part demons. And he could send people to alternate realities. He is pretty OP, to be honest. Now that I'm thinking about his powers, like, what can he do?
Some of that could be the powers.
Sure, because I don't believe he works for the powers, but sure.
He says he does.
I think he works for an entity. I don't think it's the powers.
That's interesting. I mean, I do agree with Joseph that, like, his look looks really well. Like,
I do like his look. It reminds me of a Power Rangers look. Which isn't a bad thing.
Well, I think it's just like a notch a little above that. I think there is something to what you're saying there, because there's a little bit of, like, flopping. Yeah.
He's very rubbery. It's very obvious he's in a rubber suit, except his head, which actually the makeup on his head is pretty well done.
The head is what really sells it, I think. Mm-hmm. With the red eyes and the makeup, yeah. That's where it goes over the top and actually becomes something really nice. But certainly on Angel, I can't think of
any demons in the Buffyverse that I remember, except ones that were bad, like the praying mantis in season 1.
Well, I can think of, like, good examples in Buffy, like we had the Gentleman.
Okay, the Gentlemen are definitely better than Skip.
And Gnarl, the deep Gnarl.
Okay.
But
so what you're saying is if they're played by Jug Jones, they're better than Skip.
Yes. Well, part of it is, like, we like Skip because of the performance. Mm-hmm. Like, he's interesting.
Yeah,
and I don't. The look goes with that because it's, like, so contrary to what you expect.
Yeah, which also makes me suspicious of Skip. But he looks so menacing, and then he's not. He's just like a bro.
Yes, even with the football analogy or
when you
play-by-play.
Yeah, the play-by-play. So what if the play went differently, and that he watches Gladiator? And I forget what the other movie he watched that he.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Oh, I love that flick.
Yeah, he didn't love Gladiator.
He'd be a real bro if he loved Gladiator.
Yeah, he would. He's more a dude than a bro. Just one of the guys.
Anywho, I don't know if there's much more to talk about with Skip, but...
No, not for now.
Okay.
And that's all I will say.
So, favorite moment and scores?
Alright, so favorite moment, there's a reason why we haven't talked about this scene. And thank God it's in this episode, really, is Angel and Cordelia with Connor in the bed. Because I was a little bit frustrated with their relationship in Birthday, but this just reminded me why I like the two of them together. And that's really all I have to say about it. It's just a cute scene.
It is very cute, and it's so them. It's so different than...
It's so romantic without being sexual, too, which I like.
Yeah.
Because their relationship isn't sexual. And I'm going to bash on Buffy and Angel again. But, and I really don't mean to, but still. Their relationship was very it was sexual and there was a lot of heat there.
Yeah.
Where this is just, it's romantic without being sexual. And I really like that.
Right. The moment I ended up going with was the scene right before that where Angel reprioritizes and then keeps getting distracted by the money, and then everyone grabs the money. I like both him kind of owning up to where their priorities should be, and I like the comedic beat of everyone grabbing the money.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing more to talk about.
So, scores.
I gave this a 55.
Hey!
And I really don't have anything more to elaborate on that besides nothing more to talk about.
Right.
It's
55.
It's not bad, it's just not good.
Right. It's just kind of there.
Yep.
A little dull, kind of adequate.
It's like they're on autopilot, which is what I said in my review. And being on autopilot is better than careening into a cliff, which Monster of the Week episodes have done in the past.
Yeah, it's true. No, this could have been much, much worse. At the same time, they could have, like, even
could have been
little
better.
tweaks.
Could have been worse. It could have been better.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right.
You didn't give your score.
Oh, no. I gave it the same score.
Oh, okay, you didn't say that.
I gave it a 55.
All right.
Out of 100. For the exact same
You don't have to say out of 100 every time. We know.
No, it's just insult to injury.
Okay. 55 is actually not bad of a score. At 40, 30, that would be adding insult to injury. But 50 is like mediocre.
Right. Which, what this is.
Compared to our scale, which is not. Anyway, continuing.
Continuing, if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com.
Or you can send an email to angelrewatch@gmail.com.
Or you can call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
Or you can go to Tumblr, which is angelrewatch.tumblr.com to see all the reviews archived there and the guests of whatever episode we're watching that week.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, leave us a review. It really helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
You can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at TheComfortador.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Waiting in the Wings, where while Angel and his friends attend a ballet, Angel realizes he saw exactly the same dancer on stage 110 years ago.
Okay. So, this time we're actually going to remember that we're recording early this week, and we'll tell you. As opposed to the last time we did it, we had no feedback. So, when are we're recording Thursday?
Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. So, just get it in Wednesday night. Because don't worry about that time zone crap. If you want to watch it. If you don't, that's fine, whatever. Just, we won't read it on that podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that's all we had to say now.
Hooray.
Hooray.